Okay, so topic 2 for Unit 1 focuses on the characteristics of and interrelationships between physical, social, emotional and intellectual development during youth. Now you recall in video 1 we learnt about the different phases of, or the different dimensions of development. These are just specifically related to youth, which is defined in the study design as 12 to 18-year-olds. So physical development during youth, I think, is probably the easiest one to get our heads around. So we know that it's a stage of rapid physical development where our bodies are getting bigger, where we're going from boys to men or from girls to women, and basically we're preparing ourselves for reproduction and for adulthood. Puberty is triggered by hormones which are released in the pituitary gland. And really, it happens at differing ages. You see some boys and girls going through puberty very early, others starting very late. We know that boys generally start later and finish later, and that's one of the reasons why boys grow much taller and stronger, apart from obviously the increased levels of testosterone, and the girls start earlier and don't go for as long. We know that our primary and secondary sex characteristics. So our primary sex characteristics are directly involved in reproduction, and they're things like our penis growing, sperm being produced, for women menstruation. But these hormones that cause these changes also bring about secondary changes, and they're changes that aren't necessarily involved in reproduction, but come about because of puberty. So they're things like our oily skin, our pimples, developing breasts for women, men developing a much more masculine type jaw, wider shoulders, more muscles, that sort of thing. So we'll move on now to our intellectual development during youth, and we know that our brain is becoming more complex now. We're able to do things that we weren't perhaps able to do during primary school, and even in many cases we weren't able to do 12 months ago. So our problem-solving ability, things like maths, things like tactical challenges in sport. You'll know from your football or soccer, for example, you've gone from thinking about how to kick the ball to now thinking about zones, or thinking about kick-in structures, or in soccer, thinking about structures and thinking about formations, or whatever your coach may have you focusing on for that particular time. Our abstract thought develops. We're able to link concepts, which is an important skill in VCE. We're able to apply our knowledge to different situations. If I said to a age student to apply the definition of burden of disease to a graph, they may not be able to do it, whereas people obviously well progressed into youth, like you guys are, will hopefully be able to link and apply those two concepts. We're able to reason. We're able to to see things from other people's perspectives as our intellectual development progresses through our youth, and our focus on our future might guide our intellectual development. So if you wanted to be a doctor, you might choose subjects like chemistry and PE and biology and physics. So you're learning about those particular topics because they interest you. So that's where your development is taking you, because of your interests. Our emotional development, again, is closely linked to our self-concept. We're able to recognise our emotions. We're less likely to throw tantrums, perhaps like a toddler would, if our mother or father tells us that we can't get something, because we're able to control our emotions a lot better. Our self-concept, again, is continually being developed. It's one of those things that, if you do really well in a test in health and human development, next time around you're going to go in a lot more confident. You're going to be more likely to study because you're getting that success. Whereas if you're not doing as well in maths, your self-concept in that subject, or your thoughts of your ability in that subject, might be reduced, leading to reduced intellectual development. Our social development during youth is really about our peer group. Obviously, during childhood, we're very reliant on our parents and on our families, whereas here and now, obviously, as you know, you're socialising with a huge amount of people, sports clubs at school and so on, and they really influence how you behave and how you act and the music you listen to, how you dress, and so on. And also your thoughts and beliefs, which may be different to your parents. You might hold very different views to your parents, and that could cause conflict because you think you're right, your parents think that they are right. But obviously, with increased emotional development and intellectual development, that reasoning and understanding obviously helps to avoid those conflicts during youth as well. If you're hanging around with people who smoke and drink a lot, well, that's going to impact upon your physical development. It may also impact upon your intellectual development because you won't be as switched on and so on at school. Whereas if you're hanging around with people who really study hard and play sport, obviously your physical development's going to be improved as well as your intellectual development. Thanks for listening, boys, and as always, please see me if there's any questions.